let's start with this question 55. So strategy will be, I will just tell you to read the question first of all, okay? And you don't have to go to the answer choices as of now. So what you have to tell me, you have to tell me the conclusion for this argument and understand the question clearly. Which of the following, if true, more strongly supports the chairman's. No, this is a question we already done last time. So let's start with this one. Okay. Okay. The question is, which of the following pieces of information would be most useful in determining whether the conclusion is valid for an individual worker, whether the conclusion is valid for individual worker. Okay. So find the conclusion and the important information in this one. So let's just, I'll give you some 30-40 seconds, read this one. Okay, so before going to answer choices, you have to understand the argument very carefully. So I'll read this one. One retirement account option allows a worker to save money without paying taxes. It requires a worker to pay taxes on funds withdrawn from the account upon retirement. Okay, and a second option requires a worker to pay taxes upfront but allows the worker to withdraw funds tax-free upon retirement. Okay, assuming that, so whatever he's saying, assuming that, you have to assume like this information is true. Assuming that the total amount available in workers retirement account at retirement is higher than the total amount contributed prior to the retirement, workers can expect to pay less in taxes overall if they choose the second option. Okay, okay, first of all, you need to understand the first information clearly. So there are two plans he's saying for a retirement account. So this is the retirement account. Okay. So in the first plan, what person is doing, he's putting money in this account tax free, and while withdrawing the money, he's paying tax over here. Okay. So for example, if I am putting 100 rupees per month for, let us say, 10 years, okay, and I'm putting this 100 and it is tax free initially. So after a while, when when I am taking this money out after 10 years, so it will be around 12,000, I would say. Okay, so I have to pay taxes on that 12,000, not initially on 100. This is the first scheme. Other thing he's saying, uh, you have to pay tax initially on this 100 rupees, and while withdrawing, you don't have to pay any of the tax. Okay, it is tax free. So this is, he's saying in first two lines. These are the two options. Now what he's saying us to assume, assuming that the total amount available in the worker retirement account at retirement is higher than the total amount contributed prior to the retirement. So he's saying when money is here in this account, if you're putting 100, upon retirement, maybe this 100 will be converted to 120. You will get some interest after putting money in this account. This information you have to assume. So if you are, we will take example of 1 year, I would say. Okay, so if you are putting 100 per month, so in the last you will not like technically you will get 1200, but actually he's saying like you will get some sort of interest, so maybe you will get 1500. Okay, finally. And now what he's saying, He's saying if you're getting more money in the last, and if you are choosing this first option, because on first option you have to give tax while it is extracting out. Okay, so extracting, you're withdrawing more money than whatever you contributed. So he's saying you will get, you have to pay more tax if you choose one option, first option. In the second option, like you have to pay tax on this 100 rupees, not on 120. So you have to pay less tax on the, if you are choosing the first option. Do you understand the argument what he's trying to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So he's saying workers can expect to pay less in the tax overall if they choose the second option. Is it making sense? Because in the second option they have to pay tax on the 100. Okay. Now questioning which of the following pieces of information would be more useful in determining whether the conclusion is valid for an individual worker or not. Okay. I am clearly seeing one assumption here. Uh, I think on the basis of that only he's making, I mean, I need that piece of information to make the conclusion. Do you see any assumption? Okay, first of all, tell me what is the conclusion here for this argument?
Sir, the conclusion is the last line, workers can expect to pay less in
Yes,
taxes if they choose
correct.
the second option.
Yes, this is the conclusion. Okay, so you have to keep in mind the conclusion first of all. Conclusion is second option is better. Now go to the question. Which of the following pieces of information would be most useful in determining whether the conclusion is valid or for an individual worker? So you have to think whether conclusion is valid. Do you see any assumption? Like I can clearly see one assumption. I made this analysis, and I, on the basis of this analysis, you can think, okay, second option is better. But there is one assumption which author is assuming.
Yes, it is actually already written. Workers' account at retirement is higher than the total amount contributed prior. This is the
This is
assumption.
not, no, this is not. If he writes something, that is not the assumption. This you have to think like this is correct. Whatever he's saying is
Oh,
correct.
okay, okay,
The
Okay.
okay. But
amount like sorry, the amount the 1200 which we have written, and then you have written it is going to be 1500. Like then amount is going to be incremented. Is that an assumption?
No, this is what I'm saying. Like he already tell us to assume. He's saying you have to pay 1200, and on the end, on the end you will get more, like 1500, I would say. Okay, so this is not the assumption. This he already tell us to assume. So this is not the hidden assumption. Okay, so hidden assumption is like what I am thinking. We are assuming like whatever tax we are going to give on this initial amount, like 100, same amount of tax we are going to give on this one when we are extracting, sorry, uh, so here we are giving taxes on 100 rupees. Okay, initially when person is depositing that money. Okay, so monthly wise he's giving tax. So we are assuming same amount of tax he's going to give on this 1500 when he's extracting everything out in one go. Do you understand my point? Like he's putting this in tax account. Okay, this is the tax account. So he's putting some money from his salary every month in this tax account, that is 100. So if I'm saying uh, if you're paying tax upfront, this is the second option, you're paying tax upfront on 100 rupees, it would be 20%. And if you are extracting money, that is more, okay, that is 1500. But when you are extracting money out and you have to give the tax here, it is 10% if I'm giving you this information. So then this whole argument is wrong. Then you can't say like you have to pay more tax in the first, sorry, this is the first option. I changed the sequence. In the first option, you are paying tax when you are extracting money out. Okay, that is more than whatever you are depositing. But the thing is, if I'm giving like while depositing, you have 20% tax, and while extracting it is 10% tax. So then this whole argument will be failed. Are you getting my point? Or it's
Yeah, yeah.
confusing?
No, no. I got.
Yeah. So this is one of the assumption. Whenever he talks about money or taxes, you have to clearly think like whether he's mentioning the amount of tax on the both basically piece of information. If he's not, this could always be one of the assumption. But you have to go to the options to find the correct one. This is just the assumption. So my point is in GRE, whenever money will come, okay, and he's not mentioning clearly the deductment, the tax, the interest, you always have to think whether this thing can be changed. So let us go to option and see like which one is correct and which one is not correct. You have to tell me why it is not correct. uh so first is like what he's asking, which of the following piece of information would be most useful. So you have to find would be most useful information in determining whether the conclusion is valid or not. The first one is the amount of money worker will contribute to the retirement plan over his or her career. So do you think if he gives amount of money, like we are assuming 100 in this case, if he give you exact amount of money, it is helpful? What do you say?
No, I guess.
No, why no?
Because it amount of money won't give any other, like if you are assuming X or if you are assuming 100 rupees, what does,
Hmm.
how does it change the situation over here?
Yes, a why amount of money is not required. Exactly what the answer is, because he's telling you to assume the total amount available in workers' retirement account at retirement is higher than. So he's already saying you whatever he has to withdraw finally that is higher than whatever he's investing. So you have idea about the amount. Like you don't know the exact amount, but you know like whatever he's going to withdraw that is already higher, which he's given in the question. So exactly we don't uh, we don't have to know like what exact amount he's putting, because we already have the information. Whatever he's going to withdraw that is already more than whatever he's investing. So amount of money is not very useful piece of information here. Okay. The amount that tax rates will increase in the future. Hmm. What about this thing? Let us put this one, let us leave this one as of now. Come to answer choice. See if you are confused. Let us leave that answer choice in the first go. Whether or not inflation will be lower than the retirement account's annual earning. This is out of the context. Inflation means Mehungai, and I would say like this is not useful in determining the tax, okay, whatever he's going to pay, and whether he will whether first option is good or second option is good. It is not related to inflation at all. So this is out of context, I would say. How the worker's tax bracket in retirement compared to his or her tax bracket while still employed. Hmm. This is what I was talking about. How the worker's tax bracket in retirement compares to his or her tax bracket while still employed. So tax bracket means amount of interest, amount of, sorry, tax he's going to pay. So we need this piece of information while he got retired and while he's still employed, how much tax he has to pay. If that is different, then this whole argument is incorrect. So D is very similar to that answer choice, which I was basically explaining you. Come to E, the dollar value of the worker's account upon retirement. So again, it is out of context, not giving any information whether first option is true, first option is good or second option is good. Okay. What about B? So B is saying, first of all, like these type of answer choices, you can immediately uh, make it like you can immediately leave these type of answer choices when he's saying very vague term like in the future. We don't know like in the future, what does in the future means? So let us say worker is employed for 1 year, okay? then I'm saying like in the 10th year, okay, for the first 9 year, tax rate will be same, okay, but in the 10th year, tax rate is increased. In the 10th year, rates is increased, but what is saying the amount that tax rate will increase in the future. In the future is very vague term. I'm saying like in the 10th year, tax rate is this one. But what if worker is going to get retired in first year? So even if I'm going to give you amount that tax rate will increase in the 10th year, it is not a piece of information which you require, because he's going to retire after the first year. This may be one of the scenarios. So in the future is very general term. If he's giving you this answer choice, like the amount that tax rate will increase during his retirement, then it is a basically useful information for you. But when he's saying in the future, we don't know what in the future, what future he's saying, whether first year, second year, or 10th year, we don't know. So these type of answer choices are always wrong in GRE, but this is very tricky answer choice. You have to understand why this is wrong. And this is the correct one. This is what I was asking. Tax bracket means how much percentage of tax he's paying when he's employed, and how much tax he's paying when he's basically retired. So this information we need. Okay, is it making sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you need to practice this one. After a while, you will get an idea like, uh, I mean, how to tackle these type of questions. Okay. So again, new question. Strategy would be same. Don't go to the answer choices in the first go. First of all, you have to understand the question very clearly. Okay, so what he's saying, in a recent poll, 71% of respondents reported that they cast votes in the most recent national election. Okay, voting records shows, however, that only 60% of eligible voters actually voted in that election. Which of the following pieces of evidence, if true, would provide the best explanation for the apparent discrepancy? So these questions are called paradox question. Okay. So paradox question is like, if you just read the question, you will get a paradox. Okay. Paradox means like one line of information is giving one conclusion, but second line of conclusion is giving a second line is giving completely different data. So what is the data from the first recent poll? In a recent poll, 71% of respondents reported that they cast votes in the most recent national election. Okay, so respondent, they are saying 70% of them are saying like they cast the vote, but actually voting record shows 60% of eligible voters only cast voted votes. So can you say anything like why this paradox is there? You have any idea?
So
Okay.
conclusion can't be like 60% of the eligible voters actually voted.
This like here you don't have to find the conclusion. This is paradox type of question.
Okay,
This is
okay,
different.
okay, okay.
Every piece of information is correct. But
Hmm.
there is something which I can see in this paragraph. You always have to check for that when you get this type of paradox. Okay. So the thing is why this paradox is here in a recent poll. So here some polling is done. Okay. So this is the result of that polling. Here the actual results are there, like voting records. So what, for example, there is one city. I would say there are 100 people. Okay. So voting records show for these 100 people, like 100 people, 60 only cast their vote for this time. But in the first line, what he's saying in a recent poll, so let us say there is some company, he conducted the polls. He's saying respondent, 70% of respondents cast their votes. So let us say I did not cast this poll. I did not made this poll for 100 people. Let us say I made this poll for 80 people only. Okay, 20 is out of the scope. Out of this 80, I would say 71% casted their votes. Okay, so you understand the paradox here. When voting elections show their results, they will show for 100 people, but in this one, the 70% of respondent they are saying, and we don't know, they never mentioned like their audience are equal, like maybe there are 100 people in the city but they made their poll only for 80 people. Okay, and maybe out of that 80 people, those who casted vote, maybe they are more. That's why here it is showing 71%, not the exact number, percentage of 80. So that's why this paradox is here. You understand my point, or I confused you?
No, no, sir, got it.
Yeah, so for paradox question, always you have to check this type of information. Whenever percentage is given, you have to check whether sample size is same, whether they are conducting their poll on 100 people and actually there are 100 people, 99% they are not same. So that's why this paradox is coming, and you have to find for this type of answer choices. Let's come here. Uh, yes, so read the answer choices. First one, the margin of error for survey was plus or minus 5% points.
It,
Okay, yeah, tell me.
it, I think so. It cannot. Yeah, it could be margin of survey because earlier it was a survey, but it
It's
exactly
not,
not.
it's not correct. So here, if
Mm,
we assume like sample size is same for both the for the polls as well as election voting results, voting records, if margin is 5%, then it should be 66%,
mm,
not 60%. That's why this is incorrect. Even if we assume like margin is 5 or 6%. Okay. So this could minimum like difference can be, this will be 66% and this will be 60%. Okay. So this cannot be the correct answer. 15% of surveys respondent were living overseas at the time of election, going out
mm,
of context.
mm.
Okay. Uh, Prior research has shown that people who actually do votes are more likely to respond to polls than those who do not vote. Yes, read this answer choice. This is what I was looking for. So he's saying prior research has shown that people who actually do vote are more likely to respond to the polls than those who do not vote. So that is what I was saying. For example, they generate the polls for everyone. Okay, they generate this question for everyone, like whether you vote or not. Maybe some people who did not vote, they also more likely did not respond. They also did not respond to the poll. Then sample size is different, right? If people who are not voting, they are not responding to the polls, it means sample size is different now like if they are not responding, so we have to exclude that out of sample size. So maybe now only people left is 80, and out of 80 people, he's saying people who actually casted their votes, they are more likely to respond. So that's what I'm saying, like out of this 80 people, if more people are there who actually voted, so you will get different percentage that is higher than the actual percentage. So this can be the correct answer. Let's go for D and D. Many people who intend to vote are prevented from doing so by last minute conflicts on election day or other complications. This can be correct, but then this voting records doesn't have their data. So this is actually not solving the paradox. Basically, paradox is saying in polls 1% respondent are saying they casted the vote, and actually 60%. So here he's saying, okay, in the last minute they have conflict on the election day, but I mean, like, why they would lie in the polls? If they did not vote, they can say, like, we did not vote. So this is not solving the paradox. This is just giving you one information why they did not vote. That is not our issue. Our issue is like people, whatever they are saying, that data is not correct. So again, this is not the correct answer choice. Do you understand why? Or you are confused?
Sir, please explain D again.
Okay. So D is just giving you explanation why people did not respond.
Hmm.
Sorry, why people did not vote.
Hmm.
Okay. And he's not giving any information regarding why this is 71% and why this is 60%. They're just saying
Yes.
people who did not vote, why they did not vote, because they have conflict on the election day. So this is
Hmm.
not solving the exact paradox which we are getting
Hmm.
here.
Hmm.
Okay. So out of context, I would say like this is not solving our purpose. Some people confuse the national election with other recent election when responding to the poll. Okay, so he's clearly mentioning here for in the most recent national election, in a recent poll for the most recent national election. Whenever he give you a bit of information, a piece of information in the paragraph, then you can't say this is wrong. Okay, so if answer choice is related to this one, like they are not understanding the polls well, then this will be the incorrect answer. Why? Because he's clearly mentioned when they raised the poll, they showed it for recent national election. Okay, so out of all this, he is very close to the actual answer. Okay, so you always have, if data is given, you always have to work along with data. Okay, you don't have to go outside the data. So E could not be the correct answer because already he mentioned in the passage in the argument like it is for the most recent national election. So you can't say like they voted for something else. Then in this way, like you can say anything. Okay. So C is the most closest one, and this is the correct answer. So actually, I need to stop here today. Actually, we do 5 questions, but this time we can't do because I have a next meeting in the 5 minutes and I need to prepare for that. But yeah, overall story is these type of question argument. Don't go to the answer choices first of all. Understand the question, understand the argument, and then go for the question like what you have to look into the answer choices. Once you are clear in your mind, then come to your options. Not 100%, not always like you will find the answer from this one, but there are some tricks. If you practice more, there are some tricks. If question some data is mentioned, then like this type of paradox question, always check the sample size. Okay. And yeah, like whenever he's talking about tax or interest, always if he did not give the rate of tax or rate of interest, then you have to always question whether this information is required or not. So these type of answer tricks are always required. And yeah, if you're preparing, you can always go to the recorded lecture. We already did this 57 questions, and you can find every logic in this 57 question. Nothing will come outside from this 57 question. So there are different logics for different type of question. You always will find from here. Check the
Uh,
recordings if you have doubt. Yeah.
okay, sir. So one thing I just want to ask, can we get the PDF of the GRE quant section just like topic wise? Because
Yeah, you
what I
have this PDF. You have this
yes,
PDF
yes, you
because
have sent the Manhattan book.
okay, so like every topic wise questions are there.
Yes.
What else you want?
No, no. So just it is just for the practice, and after that we will go for the I mean mock test, whatever you have shown earlier in the class.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so this
Yeah.
is more than sufficient actually, this
Hmm.
uh, data. So every like data interpretation, every section has many questions. Like if you go through data interpretation, There are many questions on that. I think every section has 60, 80 questions on one topic.
Mm.
So you can practice like 30, 40 and you are good with that.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
it's a mandatory book. ठीक है. Thank you.
Yes.
Hmm.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
And